Hi guys, good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are watching in the world. Hope everyone is ready for this game week. So I've put the agenda, what we're going to go through today in the chat. Some of it is from the thread that I posted on Twitter about Liverpool, which I want to discuss, and why Bobby Firmino being back is going to be, I think, a great thing for that team. And also I'm going to go through players for 6 million and under. So you guys know that today Neto dropped in price. Bailey's already dropped in price. Even Robertson has dropped in price, and we'll be looking at potential replacements for the likes of them. So we're targeting those budget midfielders, 6 million and below. Some of them are popular that I disagree with, but we'll get your opinions and see if that is a good move from the community to bring in the likes of, for example, Rodrigo and Pascal Grosch that has gone up in price, and we'll see if that is actually a good move from the community. It's a bit of a community move as we start to slightly move away from the template, but I still think the template is ridiculously strong. Most of the 500,000 inside the rank of 0 to 500,000, they all seem to be playing a 5-3-2. Haaland and Jesus up front, Trent, James, Cancelo, maybe Robbo at the back in that back line. But you can't blame it. The template is incredibly strong, and to my peril, it wasn't. I still stand by the way, guys, I still stand by the plan of me bench boosting game week 1 and wildcarding game week 2. I'm still not against that because I know people that have done it and have got great success and they're inside the top 100k right now and looking incredibly strong. So it just so happens that, you know, for example, FPL Loz, who was a guest in the pre-game week 1 stream, he's done the same tactic and he's like 70k right now. And our squads are so similar. It just so happened that, you know, I didn't go for Gabriel Jesus, which killed me in game week 2. So I still stand by that plan. And if you have been a regular viewer for seasons gone by, you know that I just always start this. No matter what I do, I start the season just in awful fashion. Absolutely horrifically. Happens every single year. But that's just how it goes. Feel free in the chat to post any questions. Try and keep it, if you've got a transfer decision to make or a benching decision to make or a captain decision, anything like that, try and keep it 50-50. So not just that it's easier for me to look at and try and help you guys out, but also people in the chat. A lot of the people that have been around for a long time, very good at FPL. It's easy if you leave it like an A or B option. So for example, Gabriel Jesus or Mo Salah as your captain. Put it as an A or B question in the chat. Don't just list out your entire team and sort of expect me or the chat to help you out with that, because there's too many variations that we could say if you just list in 15 players in the chat. Also, if you want to have to change your avatar, you can see for I don't know why, maybe if you're not subscribed you don't get an avatar. Maybe I'll have to change it, but if you do, if you want to change the person, it's exclamation mark, just type random and it'll change its hair and its color and its head and things. But if you want to choose your team's shirt, it's color spelt the American way and then type the team. So we are backing Spurs this week. Hey Krista, welcome buddy, hope you're well. So now I'm wearing, you can see, a Tottenham Hotspur kit. Don't know at the minute. I'll just make sure I am logged in. So I'm not sure why there are no other avatars at the minute. It's just me strolling across the bottom of the screen. Am I crazy for going for Sterling captain? No. No, Omar, I don't think you are. Oh, there you go. See, if you chat and you're a subscriber, you should get your own little avatar now. No, I don't think you are crazy. But what I always say, we don't like looking at effective ownership, but Gabriel Jesus now is 80% owned, right? And people are going to captain him this week because we're against Bournemouth. Salah is just over 60% owned, and he's going to be heavily captained. So just be wary that those are the two massive captains this week. And then the next choice is probably going to be a Spurs player. I don't like to say, just stay with the pack. Stay with the pack now. I just wouldn't be. There's nothing Sterling or the Chelsea attack has done to make me think I want to stick my captaincy on that player. So I wouldn't captain Gabriel Jesus. But if you've got the feeling, I always say, guys, it's your team. If you've got the feeling, if you're thinking Sterling, this is it. This is the week he's going to bang. Salah's not going to get much at United. Jesus is going to get marked out the game like Haaland was a bit against Bournemouth. So I think it's Sterling. Then for sure go for him. But if I'm playing the odds and I want to stay with the group right now, I wouldn't be doing any sort of differential captains in a game week where you're going to have so many on Salah and so many on Gabriel Jesus. Hey, Dread, how you doing, buddy? Undecided on Cucurella or Perisic. We'll come to that with the team news, which I'm going to come on to in a second. And undecided on Mo or Jesus. Again, we'll look at that, but the point that I've just made right there is I was Gabriel Jesus my captain because you don't know what's going to happen at this Manchester United game. There could be protests. I mean, this specific game has been cancelled before because of fan protests, right? But surely the police are going to have it on their heads now to be like, right, we've had big trouble here before, so let's, excuse me, let's send some more police officers. Throat's dying. I've only been going 5 minutes. Let's send some extra police officers to this game because we know there's going to be trouble between Manchester United and Liverpool, and not necessarily the fans against each other, but that fan protest. So that was in the back of my head. But you can just play what's in front of you. Salah against that United defense with Mo Salah. Again, I'll come on to this when I come on to the Liverpool analysis. I did a thread on it, and it was on the preview video for this game week, but I like to review as well, just as we're on deadline day. But Haaland was completely isolated and marked out by Bournemouth away from home last week, limited to just like 2 successful passes. If they can do that to Man City, why can't they do that to Arsenal? Arsenal have the biggest attack right now. You can see I've got 3 of their attackers. I've got Saka, Martinelli, and Gabriel Jesus. Cucurella came in for me for Saliba because I thought I don't want to take a -4 on Saka. I want to give him another opportunity. And I really like the Gunners attack. They're so on fire right now that instead of going for Luis Diaz and Gabriel Jesus, I decided I'm going to keep Saka and get rid of Saliba. But that's my decision, and we'll see if it pays off. And I can always go to Luis Diaz next week if I want, but I'm just going to stick with that. Wildcard and no Tony. Well, I wildcarded game week 2, and Tony, I can go to Tony if I want. Or I actually like Umbuemo. Umbuemo at 6 million is a striker. Yeah, he's not on penalties, but he's up front with Tony. But Tony's not... I know they're about to have a good run of fixtures, but I'm not wowed by Brentford. Yeah, I want to see something first. And I've got Haaland and Jesus and Mitrovic. So I said I'd give Mitrovic 2 game weeks, and this is it. You've got to be patient. I'm going to take a hit to take out Mitrovic. So let's just have a recap of... We'll do this team first, and we'll talk about team news. So here I'm lining up with the 4-3-3, a little bit old school right now, because like I said earlier, the template formation is 5-3-2, which is still really strong. And if you're still on that, I would not be coming off it anytime soon. Grosh, Frederick, I'm going to come back to that in a minute because the next segment is looking at 6 million and under midfielders, and if maybe you should go to a 5 at the back if you don't have 5 at the back. I've gone for double Chelsea defense. So coming on to defenders, Dread, if you're still here, you don't know if it's Cucurella or Perisic. So Conte's come out to say that he still is pretty much saying that he's going to still trust his old players and give the new players time to bed in. Now it's going to get... Most of you, if you guys agree or you don't agree, let me know in the chat. But I think most of you would agree that 90% of your FPL team right now, starters, not the bench, 90% of your team is probably a top 6 club, right? So you look at my starting 11, Mitrovic is the only player in my starting 11 who is not from a top 6 club. And I imagine you are the same. When the Champions League and Europe start, this is what Conte's come out and said about, like, he'll be rotating. He's got all these wing backs for a reason. They want to fire on all cylinders on all fronts. So I would be going for Cucurella, even though they're about to go on to European games as well and have fixtures every few days, pretty much like every 4 or 5 days. For this game week, right now, Perisic doesn't look like he's going to start. He might, but for 5.4 million, do you want a might? Like a 40% yes, he'll start. When Tuchel's come out and said about Cucurella that he looks like he's in the rhythm and he looks like he's fit and he's ready, and Chilwell's just like an under-21 game and he's still getting up to speed. And also they said, so Chelsea usually play a back five, right? 3 centre-backs and 2 wing-backs in a 5 at the back formation. He said the great thing about Cucurella is he's the new Azpilicueta with a left foot. The fact that he can play in a back 4 as a left centre-back, or he can play at the wing-back position. So if Cucurella plays left wing-back, or he could play left centre-back. So they said that if it's a back 4, maybe Cucurella doesn't play. Maybe. But if it's a back 5, it looks like he definitely will. Granted, this is pre-Fofana news, but play the game that's in front of you. Right now, Cucurella looks like he's going to be starting in that wing-back slot, which is exactly what you want from a Chelsea player. And if he doesn't, and he plays left centre-back, you've got a 5 million potential clean sheet for a team that plays at Chelsea with a lovely run of fixtures. So, Dread, I would definitely be looking at Cucurella over Perisic, and the proof is in the pudding because Cucurella is literally my side, and he was one of my transfers in. Hey, Chris, how you doing, buddy? Transfer was Lamptey for Patterson. Still unsure who to captain between Salah and Jesus. Yep, we'll look at captaincy. Swayed towards Salah. Again, I don't want to keep repeating myself, but the argument is Haaland was kept quite quiet by Bournemouth. Gabriel Jesus, whoever you captain, right? Here's the thing. The mantra of this channel is, the first one is like play your own way. But the second one, the key one, is don't get angry at the result. Just get frustrated at your decision. And if you are 50-50 on Salah and Gabriel Jesus, they are both the best, in my opinion, the best options for captaincy. So if you go for Salah and Gabriel Jesus bangs, that's fine. You've made a good decision. If you go for Gabriel Jesus and Salah bangs, you still made a good decision. They are both fantastic. It's almost a coin flip. There's really not a lot on it. Gabriel Jesus on fire against Leicester, newly promoted side, but they're away from home and they kept Haaland quiet last week. Salah away from home against a supposedly big team in Manchester United, but they're in disarray and it looks like they could take advantage. But there could be some fan protests to disrupt the game. They're both fantastic options. So if you are 50-50, guys, maybe go sway with, I can't even say with effective ownership, because Salah's on 60% ownership. Jesus is on 80% ownership, but I still think the captaincy will be heavier on Salah. The thing as well that sways it for Salah, extra point for a potential clean sheet, an extra point for a goal. And when you captain him, that's 2 points. So that's another reason why I tipped towards Salah there. Similar to yours, Mark? Good. I'm hoping to get out of the 4 million range today. Kane captain, again, great option against Wolves, but Wolves are not an easy defense. They are at home, but sometimes I feel as though Spurs just can get shut out a little bit, in my opinion. I just think Arsenal's attack right now are absolutely on fire, and Liverpool, Mo Salah, we don't need to discuss his credentials, right? So that's who I'm going for. Let's just have a look at team news then. Key notes to think about. So players coming back, we're probably not looking at the likes of Leicester, which would be Barnes coming back into that attack. I've said it many times before, Leicester's attack is fantastic. They have a really quality side, even though they've not signed any people. They do have a good team, but defense, they are leaking goals left, right and center. It's not good. But in terms of their attack, Vardy, Barnes and Maddison is great. If that is a team that can score goals. If Leicester win games, they're going to win 3-2. Right? So if you are interested in something a little bit different, I think Leicester's attack is still great. Maddison's still getting points on the board. Maybe not Vardy because we're pretty set in our attack right now. But Barnes, when he gets 1 or 2 games under his belt and Leicester's fixtures become a little bit easier, I think he could be a good option. A key one that we'll talk about when we get to the Liverpool analysis is Bobby Firmino. I think is absolutely key to Liverpool, and instead of Darwin. And him dropping back, pulling out those centre-backs could be massive for the likes of Salah. And again, something that tipped me towards. If it was Darwin, and he wasn't sent off and I didn't have to sell him, Darwin would have been a fantastic option. But the fact that Firmino's back in that front line, most likely, then I think that that strengthens Salah's argument as your captain. In terms of question marks, yeah, Martial's back in the United squad, but we're not looking at them this game week. Solanke's out, but he's been playing midfield for Bournemouth if he was your cheap striker. But Romero's missing from that Spurs defence, but they've got cover there, so it's not bad. Darwin's out for 3 games, if you didn't know. Kante and Kovacic being out for Chelsea might sway you away from having a Chelsea defender or doubling up. Now, it hasn't swayed me off it because I think still the quality is there in their defence to keep those clean sheets, or for James Cucurella's wing-backs to get those attacking returns and that potential. But that might put a few people off because Kante is still just absolutely world-class. He had a great game against Spurs before. He looks like he's torn his hamstring, which is not nice to see. That's probably going to be like a month out, sort of minimum if it's a really bad grade tear. But in terms of that, it's no huge news, no big players. Andreas Pereira, if he's on your bench or you were considering starting him this week, there was no news on that. It looks like it's as you were for Fulham, so still wouldn't be starting them. They're against Brentford. Brentford had a pretty strong start, confidence sky high after smashing United last week. But we'll come to that a little bit later. We'll make a poll. Just to gauge your captain for this week. So we've got Salah, Jesus. I'll put Spurs player and other. So put a poll on here to see who your captain is for this week. I think we're looking at Salah, Jesus, and Spurs, to be honest. I know we had a shout for Sterling, but they're going to be the big ones here. And I think Salah's going to be the key one. Gundogan and Emerson, good options. Emerson, not yet. He's not transferred. And I heard, you're talking about Emerson going to West Ham, right? There's talk of those are stalled because Emerson's personal demands have been a little bit too high for West Ham, or they're not happy about it. So Emerson is, of course, a wait and see. Fofana is going to be a fantastic choice. 4.5. You've got Cucurella, but he can sometimes play left back. But honestly, don't be surprised if you come to a stream here in 2 or 3 weeks and I'm sat here with triple Chelsea defense because the value's going to be that good if Fofana makes the transfer. Captain polls I've seen so far gave Salah 60% hazy. Yeah, so this is the thing, guys, right? Salah is 60% owned, but he's going to be heavily captained. So his effective ownership is going to be over 100%. So if you don't captain Salah, you're going to lose points. But Gabriel Jesus is 80% owned, and he's still going to be quite heavily captained. So the chances are, guys, whoever you captain this week, the other player is going to be working against you. Which sucks, but that's effective ownership. There's nothing you can do about it. The 2 popular players, Gabriel Jesus has been criminally underpriced. Let me know your thoughts about the template this year, guys. The pricing, when it came out, everyone was like, whoa, look at this team I can make. It is incredible. I've just got a full top 10 team. No, I've got a top 6 team. Got no newly promoted players in my start 11. I've got no it's fantastic. And then we get to game week 3 and it's like, oh yeah, everyone has this team. And I tried to be a little bit different at the start, and it destroyed me. So I'm going to be chasing this season. But let me know if you think, do you agree? The prices have been ridiculous. They've destroyed it. Even when Trent coming out at 7.5 was ridiculous. That should have been higher up. But Gabriel Jesus, they didn't know he was going to go to Arsenal. And the problem I think that FPL has is this year had to be a little bit earlier because of the World Cup. I understand that. But just don't release it. And I know people are just like, when's it coming out? When's it opening? When's it opening? When's it opening? But because of our impatience, we've massively influenced the entire season's game. So instead of us just waiting another 3 weeks and still having 4 weeks to come up with a team and tinker around with your Game Week 1 squad, we're stuck with players that have been criminally underpriced. And that's why. So I'm a manager for the Strikers, Keepers, Losers, Weepers tournament that Fantasy Football Scout does. And so I choose 14 players out of my 16 every week. And it's so difficult to know who to play and who to pick because 80% of everyone's team's the same. And you can't blame people. You can't say, well, oh, I'm not going to get Trent because it's highly owned. Fine, you're going to lose points and have a crap rank. It's just a bit frustrating at the start of this year. Hopefully we're going to see some breakout players to break up the mold. But what can you do when you're sat here and you can have your team full of City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham, whoever you want, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can't expect people to not have these players when they're gifted to you. Let me catch up. Team value is 100.3. Should you ever get worried about team value? No. Later in the season, people think it'll make an effect on a wildcard, but it's so early. It's so early right now. I wouldn't be that worried. Gonna want a good differential. You've wildcarded, but not sure of. Yeah, if you try and keep it to A or B, like this player or this player, that'll be a lot better. Gunnawan is great if he plays. If Silva doesn't go, though, he's going to be back fighting for that space. Not worried about double Chelsea defense without Kante. No, the fixtures are still great and they've still got quality, in my opinion. Considering selling Gabriel for Cucurella, Arsenal defense looking suspect. And that's why I got rid of Saliba. So I had to get rid of Saka or Saliba. And a lot of people, and I've already got Martinelli, and Jesus is there now. So people were automatically saying, well, get rid of Saka, you get Diaz or this. And I thought, no, I can see Arsenal defense conceding. So I would rather have this on-fire attack and have all three of them. And remember, they've got two newly promoted sides in the next 2 weeks. So I'm coming up with the next few game weeks. I've got Saka, Martinelli, I've got all three of them. Now, Smith Rowe is back on, is apparently fit and he's ready for selection. So this could be the last week where Jesus, Saka, Martinelli were like, yeah, these are the nailed boys because Smith Rowe's back. So Saka could miss out sometimes. Martinelli could miss out sometimes. And with Europe coming in, there is going to be rotation. And I'm for it. I'm looking forward to it because now when Europe comes and these games come thick and fast, your squad is full of the top 6 who have all got European games. We're going to start to see a diversion of the template because people are going to start to think, well, should I just drop down to like a 9th place team and, know that they're going to start every game rather than going for Cucurella, who's going to start 2 every 3, or Walker, who's going to start 2 and so on, You chased value last season, didn't do any favors. Yep. I don't think value, just always go for points. You've got Son, Cash, Robertson, price drops, but keep it. And that's it. Robertson's dropped now to 6.9. I just wouldn't be getting rid of him until your wild card now. There's just no point. The fixtures are still there, and he's still a great option. Jesus was 10 million as a City sub, now he's 8 million as a starter. For Arsenal as well, a team that's fighting for top 4. And he's the nailed-on starter down the middle. It's crazy. Hey, morning, Matt. Andreas or Neko? Andreas, but I don't like playing either of them. Cash will go next week for Cucurella. Next week. Well, Palace away isn't the worst for Cash. It's your second year in FPL. You're sitting at 210k, but not showing your final touches. Yeah, if you put A and B in the chat, Ross. Don't worry about right. Look, I'm 4 million, guys, and I wasn't happy last week, obviously, when Darwin got sent off and Mitrovic missed a penalty and Saliba scored an own goal. But you have weeks like that, I guess. Rank isn't important yet. I'm about 40 points off 100k. I'll fight for it. We'll see what happens. This year's felt the easiest to get all top players. It has, Matt, because it just is. Do I feel I'm missing out on Spurs? No, because of the players I've got. So Spurs, a defender, but I've got City. I don't need to talk about City's defense. I've got Trent from Liverpool and double Chelsea. I've got 11 million in Chelsea's defense, both wing backs or sometimes centre backs. Who would I get from Spurs to go in defense? Who's better than James or Cucurella? None of them. In terms of Spurs' attack, Son and Kane, yeah, amazing, fantastic and wonderful. But they are like 11.9 million and 11.4 million. Who am I going to put them in for? Haaland over Kane, Salah over Son. And I can't afford to bring them in. You got Emerson Royale, but may go to Cucurella. I mean, I would keep Emerson. Like I said earlier, Ross, Royale is probably going to play this week at wingback for Spurs. But after this week, all bets are off. Rotation City is coming. Foden is your 8 million midfielder. Confident he starts most games, but when should you stick with him and transfer? I can't say yet, Chris, because it's the future. Do you know what I mean? I can't tell you what Foden's going to do in 3 game weeks' time. We don't know if, for example, when it's an easier European game, maybe Foden doesn't play and he gets played in the Premier League, right? So it's too difficult to say at the moment. And the thing with Pep, sometimes he might run Foden ragged and play him 4 games in 2 weeks and then leave him out for 3 consecutive games. You just don't know. De Silva or Saliba in your starting 11. Hey, Shway, how you doing, buddy? I'd go for Saliba. He's against Bournemouth. I feel there could be a clean sheet there. Rather than De Silva with his like 0.01 XG. You got similar. Darwin sent off. Digne on goal. Transferred both out. Yeah, I had Darwin sent off. Mitrovic missed a penalty. And Saliba first. The last decision I made on my wild card was to bench Saliba for Almiron. And it was a 4-point swing. Because Saliba scored an own goal. So I literally had last week, guys, on my wild card, I had the 3 worst things you can have in FPL. An own goal, a red card, and a missed penalty. How can you plan for that? Mitrovic scores that penalty, he's probably walking away with like 9, at minimum 9 points. And he ends up on that. It's like a 10-point swing. Because it would have been 1-0 and he was a striker and he scored a goal. If that penalty goes in, he's probably walking away with a double-digit haul. And instead he walks away with -1. That's just the way it is. That's football. That's FPL, right? And then it wouldn't have looked hard. And then everyone would have got Mitrovic in because he would have got back-to-back double-digit hauls. Darwin getting sent off. I wouldn't have had Gabriel Jesus this week. I would have had Darwin as my striker against Manchester United. There's nothing you can do about it. Got Mendy and James. I'm not sure going triple Chelsea. If Fofana goes, it's 4.5 million. I'll probably go triple Chelsea because I've got 0.5 in the bank, and I'll go Neco Williams up to Fofana. Is Ivan Toney essential due to the... No one is essential. I take that back. Gabriel Jesus and Mo Salah are essential. Just to stay with the pack. Gabriel Jesus is over 80% owned. This is crazy. This is smashing the record by like 10, 15, 20%. It's ridiculous. We're not playing FPL with 11 players on the pitch. We're playing FPL with about 4 players on the pitch. There's just no point. If you've not wildcarded yet and you've still got the likes of Gabriel Jesus and Salah, just keep them. There's nothing you can do about it. That's the game. That's how it is right now. Kulusevski is a good option from Spurs. So, that's right. If Saka doesn't do anything for the next 2 game weeks, I've got a choice. I can either go to Kulusevski or I can go to Diaz. That's simple. But I'm not going to get them in now for a hit. Try and set yourself up, then go for the ones that are looking like the long term. That's what I had to do in game week 2. Yeah, Mark, Foden getting sub because he didn't pass to Haaland. The idea is, in the past, there wouldn't have been a striker there. So Phil Foden could have squared it to the 6-yard box for Haaland to tap it in. But in the past, there hasn't been a striker. There's been a false 9. So in the past, Foden would have had to shoot. He's got to get used to there's a striker there. And Man City players should be able to no-look pass it into on the 6-yard line, and Haaland's job is supposed to be there to tap it in. And that's another thing that went against us last week. All of those people who captained Haaland were stopped from having a double-digit return and double attacking return, goal and assist because Phil Foden didn't pass. Should you sell Trippier for Walker or bench Trippier? I would bench Walker. I would bench Trippier. If you can get Walker long term. Even if it's not, if you've got nothing else to do and you want to use a transfer, I would bring in Walker. Their defense right now is just looking as strong as ever, and they already have the best defense. You got no positions in the bank. Not sure Gundogan. I would go Kulusevski over Gundogan. if you can afford it. So team news is done. So I want us to take a look, because I'm sure a lot of you guys, if you're interested in budget midfielders, or if you've got Robertson, if you want to switch, maybe put him down to a Williams and bring in a midfielder. So instead of going 5 at the back with Robertson, bring in a midfielder. Or if you have got the likes of Neto or Bailey, and you want to get rid of them. So let's have a look at some 6 million and under midfielders to see if you want to take out Robbo for a midfielder or swap your midfield. Let me take this off. Here we go. So here are the expected stats from the last 2 game weeks, and I'll go through the players and discuss as well why I agree or disagree with what the community has done. Let me just wiggle this over a little bit. So all the stats and stuff I get is from Fantasy Football Scout. I think you can sign up with my information below. Okay, good. So we'll have a look at some of the midfielders here and their expected goal involvement and things like that. And we'll have a look at if they've been worth it. Maybe have a look at the fixtures that are coming up and the teams and the positions that they're going to be against. So something that, if you've not seen my game week preview video or you've not been around here before, something I like to do is I don't just look at the player and look at what they've done, but I like to look at what they're doing inside their team. And I like looking at what they're going to come up against. So for example, if I'm going to bring in a right winger, I like to look at the opposition's left side and the left wing back and the left back to see if that is a strength or a weakness for the side. So we'll have a look at these. Let me just catch up with the chat a second. Kulu or Foden better than Gunnar if you've got extra money. I agree, Matt. I watched the Crystal Palace pronunciation video. I think it's called Ez. It's called Ez or something. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Ez looks good, to be fair. Yes, but I wouldn't be looking at Palace just yet. Let me put this over here in case I need to look at it later. So, popular player right now, he's gone up 0.2 million. It's Pascal Grosch, the Brighton midfielder. And in my opinion, this is a community move and I disagree with it. Now, Brighton do have a decent run of fixtures. Brighton have had a couple of good results to an extent. Pascal Grosch missed a sitter last week from like 6 yards out against Newcastle. He put it wide, right? And again, if you don't know, I watch every single game and I watch Match of the Day as well, but I do watch like all the games. And for me, last against Newcastle, we saw that typical Brighton issue of not sticking the ball in the back of the net. 5.7 million is a great price. You're not expecting to return every time, right? West Ham away, not easy. Then they've got Leeds, Fulham, Leicester, Bournemouth, Palace. They have a really good run of fixtures. I would look at their defenders. If you've got Sanchez as your goalkeeper and you're doing like a swapsy with Ward of Leicester, you can have Sanchez in goal for the next 5 game weeks and hope for like 3 clean sheets. For 4.5 million, great. But in terms of Brighton's attack, I just wouldn't. Again, we spoke earlier, guys, about the template, and we spoke earlier about the fact that we've all got top 6 players in our team. You don't need Pascal Grosch. You don't need him. Now, if it comes with if you've got Robertson or even like Kuku, if you give me a choice between a 5 million defender and Pascal Grosch, I'm going to choose the defender because you could get Gabriel or maybe a Zinchenko is cheaper than this, right? Get a Zinchenko, get a Walker, get a Cucurella, all for cheaper than Pascal Grosch. I just don't see anything from Brighton's attack that makes me think he is the man for me. It's just not. That's, maybe you disagree. Maybe you think it's fine. You've got 0.2 in the bank or whatever. You can go from Neto to Grosch, or you've got extra money and you can get to Grosch from Bailey or whatever. No. I just don't think there's anything in Brighton's attack that makes me think that's a team that I want to invest in. Especially when we spoke earlier, you can have top players from top clubs. You don't need to settle for that. I'd rather have a top 4 defender rather than trying to rely on Pascal to get me anything. But that is just my opinion. Buendia, fans seem to want him to start. He's not a starter at the minute. He might get a few games, but he's not in their starting 11 right now. People think he should play over Coutinho or maybe Ings and change the formation, but 6 million for a Villa player, you're not interested. Gibbs White, 5.5 million, not yet. But still, he's now made his very expensive transfer to Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest will have a decent run of fixtures from game week 6. From game week 6, they'll face Bournemouth, Leeds, and Fulham. That's a good run of fixtures. But again, I just will not be investing 5.5 million in a Nottingham Forest midfielder. So that takes it out for me. My boy Almiron, had him since game week 1. 5 million. I've done threads on this guy. He was the guy who stood out to me in game week 1. Really unlucky to get. He should have got a double-digit return in game week 1. I really like him. He looks like he's in Newcastle starting 11. He got 90 minutes last week and like 80 minutes the week before. I think he's been fantastic. And this was before I even looked at his stats last week. If you're looking for a Bailey replacement, and again, I'm not lying, I've got him. So this is something that sometimes gets to me a little bit when I look online or when I look at Premier League experts posting on the official FPL channel, and they're just like, oh yeah, I think Xhaka is a great differential for Arsenal. And you look at their team, they're not in. They don't have him. You know, they'll say, oh, Pascal Gross, yeah, great stats. What a player. You should get him in 5.7. Do you have him? No. You recommended him for. That's something that personally, when I keep seeing accounts saying, oh, this player's great, he's a differential, he's amazing, get him in, he's really good. But then you look at their team and they don't have him, that makes me think that it's not actually a good pick and they're just saying it. Maybe I'm being cynical, but if I'm saying I think Almiron's a good pick and I've got Almiron, I'm not lying to you, right? Souček 5.5. You're not going to get a defensive midfielder. A lot of Souček's stats came against Forest because when the ball was getting whipped in, he was almost on the end of it. But again, that was against Nottingham Forest. I still don't think defensively they're a good team. Then Donker for 5 million might sway some people. I know you don't want to go from like Neto to Dendonka, but he's been playing more like an attacking midfielder. Won't recommend him. Now, Eze, the Crystal Palace player. The problem with Crystal Palace is it's not the players, the fixtures. They've got Villa, but then they've got City next week. And then Brentford, Newcastle. Brentford are good in defence. City are obviously really good in defence. Newcastle are good in defence. So you're really looking from game week 8 or game week 10. Maybe on your wild card, he's someone to bring in, but I would not be looking at him from now because it's like 1 every 3 matches is a good fixture for Palace. And again, their attack isn't clinical. They remind me a bit like Brighton. Great defensively, but the attack, sometimes they rely heavily on Zaha. Just wouldn't be going there. Loftus-Cheek, no. Jensen, no. That's skewed by the Manchester United game. Willock, he is 5 million in the Newcastle side, but again, for the same price, why would you not get Almiron, who plays right wing, compared to Willock, who plays centre mid? Xhaka, no, there are better options at Arsenal. March, no, we talked about that. Neto's down here. He's gone down in price. No. Benrahma, no. Now, someone at West Ham who I was tempted to get from game week 2 wasn't Benrahma because he's in and out of the team. It was Fornals. Fornals is 5.5 million. He's younger than what I thought. I think is he 24? I always thought Fornals was like 30. He's 26. So, he's got time to improve. He's not over the hill. But for Fornals, he's done 90 minutes and 68 minutes, and he does play in that attacking midfield position. And when the new striker Scamacca is in there, or Antonio decides to find his shooting boots, I think he's a good option, 5.5 million. And with West Ham, they've just not kicked off yet. They had Forest in game week 2. They've got Brighton this week, which isn't easy. Villa, Spurs, Chelsea, Newcastle. So again, from your wild card, game week 8, Everton, Wolves, Fulham, Southampton, Liverpool, Bournemouth. So if you're doing like a game week 8 wild card, keep your eye to see if West Ham kick on. But I wouldn't be bringing in a West Ham player just yet. Let's just round up the Partey, no. Dakota Reeve, no. Fulham, Harrison, Leeds, 6 million, definitely not. Lingard, Podence, no. Joe Linton has been doing bits. He's really improved as a player since he's dropped back into like a central midfield role, box to box. Fantastic. But again, 6 million for him or 5 million for Almiron if he's going to be in and out of your starting 11. No. And then that's it. That's it for those positions. So the takeaway from me here is I don't think Grosh is the way to go. Now, don't get me wrong. He's probably going to get double-digit haul this week and double-digit haul next week just to annoy me. But Bundea's not in the starting 11. Gibbs White's gone to Forest. For me, if I had to choose under 6 million, my first choice would be to make sure I'm playing 5 at the back. And I would go for defenders. It's that simple. If I was playing 4 at the back, I would do Neto or Bailey or whoever down to a 4.5 million. And if you've got Williams, Neco Williams as your defender, I would be taking him. If you can only get 0.5, get Fofana in now. Get him in early and bench him. That's worst case scenario. Hopefully you'd have at least 5 million and you can go with the likes of Cucurella, or if you can go a little bit higher, someone like Walker if you've not got triple. Hey Anthony, how you doing, buddy? So my first choice would be to, if you're looking for 6 million under, defender. First choice. Second choice would be Almiron. You can see he's doing well on the stats, plays right wing for a much improved Newcastle side. And Fornals will be my third choice, but that's from like game week 8. So not a lot going on there. First choice would easily be midfielder. Looking at points predictions. So obviously, I'll disagree with this because I'm pretty sure Pascal Grosh is like the highest rated for the price. If we just go down, look, Grosh is actually 5.7. He's predicted to get 23 points, 23.2 points in the next 5 game weeks. This is a model. This is what they think it is. I don't think that's worth it. I just disagree with his model, but it has Grosh as the highest scoring under 6 million player in midfield. Now it says, so when I come back to my argument that a defender is more valuable than a midfielder, he's projected to get 23.2 weeks, 23.2 points in the next 5 game weeks. So that's 23.2. If we go here, 29 for Reece James, 6, 24.8 here. Gabriel, 23.3, and that's 5 million. So you can just see overall that even though the points might not be as high, the consistency in the price is lower. So yeah, that's where I'll be going. Let me just catch with the chat. Walker or Cucurella? Evan, I would still go with Walker because Man City have the best defense. Walker and Diaz or Perisic and Mount. I wouldn't be going to Perisic. I don't think he's going to play. And if he does, he's going to be rotated out next week or the week after. The only way Bunde starts if he continues injured at the moment. Yep, or he comes off the bench. And you're not paying 6 million for that. Never rated Xhaka and he could be replaced by ESR. And I don't think Xhaka would get replaced by Smith Rowe because they're 2 different positions. But similar to what I'm going to say to Nick about Elliott at Liverpool, there's just better options there. If you're looking at Arsenal, you've got Ramsdale's a good option, Gabriel, Zinchenko, Saliba for that cheap defense option. You've got Saka, you've got Martinelli, you've got Gabriel Jesus. So Xhaka will be way down on my list. He is good in his own right, and he is improved in his own way, but he's not better than what you can already get. With Liverpool, you've got Trent and Salah straight away in your side. Then you've got, I'm going to say Darwin, but let's pretend he's still got a red card. Darwin, Diaz, Robertson. They're just much better options than Elliott. So Elliott might play 5 million, but he's going to be out of the team soon. And from the position he plays, I would just be going for like Diaz. All right. Liverpool and Palace. So the things that I was going to point out, it was a mistake Now, Bobby Firmino had a knock, right? So Darwin was given the nod after impressing in off the bench in the Community Shield and in Game Week 1 against Fulham, where he changed the game. Completely agree. But if we have a look at the average positions of Palace and how deep they are, with Zaha here as the counter-attacking threat in the centre circle, and how high up Liverpool push. Now, I mentioned this before. I did this thread about Liverpool's attack and the issues that they had. Now, Bobby Firmino here is key because what I said about this, the discipline you can see from the Palace defense, Darwin is up front, right? You can see they've got 1, 2, 3, 4 attacking players. They've got 2 centre mids here. But if you have a look at Palace, they're just closing down Trent, closing down. They're so tight, so compact, really disciplined, well-organised defence, Crystal Palace. 5th best defence. This is why in Game Week 1, I didn't go for Gabriel Jesus in my sort of, quote, free hit team in Game Week 1. Because Palace are the 5th best defence, stat-wise, from the whole last season. In fact, Man City didn't score against Crystal Palace last year. So my argument here is the problem that Liverpool had against Crystal Palace, which I feel better that Darwin won't play, because Firmino, we won't have a Liverpool player here. A Liverpool player here allows the opposition to drop back into a flat back line, no one in the hole, and then you've got the midfield 4-man covering here. Nothing Liverpool can do. Now, Firmino won't be here. You can see this is Robbo here, by the way. That's why he's so attacking. And he'd drop in the hole, which forces one of these players to follow him. You've got to mark your man, right? So the problem that Liverpool have had in the first 2 game weeks is you've got Darwin, which means you've got another attacker, but that's taking out your false 9. That's taking your guy in the hole to pull the defenders out, to stretch the back line, but also offer an alternative route of attack. And I argued as well that Thiago being out is the missing point, because the thing that Liverpool has is top quality. But after Thiago, I'm not trying to have a go at like Milner or Elliott, but the quality of their creativity and their pass and their technique is nothing compared to Thiago's. And that's the problem you have. You didn't have Bobby dropping in Firmino to link up the play. And you didn't have that player in the middle who had Thiago, who's got such vision and a pinpoint pass to do some world-class quality to get the ball through or over the top. Which means that's why a team can set back like this and just say, right, 2 men here to cover Trent. And we don't have to worry about their attack. Because they don't have to. If that goes into Elliott, Crystal Palace aren't worried about him touching the ball and feeding it through, because they're outnumbered and there's no one he can pass to. So it has to go for over the top or through ball, and it's going to have to be absolutely on fire. And Elliott hasn't got that quality yet. He might in the future, but this was a huge problem with Liverpool. Go to the next picture. And this is why an issue defensively, that if you've jumped off Robbo and you've only got Trent as your defender, this is why. This is Liverpool attacking. Relying on balls from the back, which in Game Week 1, Van Dijk did nothing but lose the ball from those long passes. So, again, isolated departments. You've got the attack here who are just almost goal hanging. You've got one guy in the centre, and this is intercepted. So this was a ball from Phillips into trying to find one of his centre midfielders. He's got no one to find. He's got Fabinho next to him, but if he passes to Fabinho, he's marked out as well. All the men are getting marked, and he's lost the ball. So the ball's coming in, intercepted. Now you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 Palace players about to attack 3 Liverpool players. So it's not being good, because the depth that they've got at Liverpool, the quality that's come in, they're trying to do 100% high level quality things, but not with their 100% high quality players like Thiago. And the mistake was playing with Darwin, just put that player in the hole as a hanging striker, and that's why against Fulham and against Crystal Palace, they've not looked deadly on the attack. So the captaincy is gone from Jesus to Salah, because Bobby Firmino, I think, is the key. Bobby Firmino is not your out-and-out striker. We know he's a false nine. We know he drops in the hole. We know he's not selfish. And the problem that they've had is without Thiago and without Bobby Firmino, that's why we've not seen the Liverpool that we're used to seeing. Now, Thiago is still out, but having Bobby drag the defenders out, create a bit of space in the middle, and just give them an alternative to pass. Because the way that Liverpool play in this situation, the only form of attack they've got is through Trent or Robbo at the wing backs. That's all that they have. Because every opposition knows they don't have Thiago in the middle, they don't have Firmino to drag the defense, so Trent's just going to keep whipping the ball in, and a team like Crystal Palace will lap up those crosses. Manchester United won't, because Martinez is not tall enough. So with Firmino back in the side, that has also tipped me for a Salah captaincy, because we're going to have that player in the hole, which means Manchester United can't just say, well, we'll just mark Trent and Robertson, because now, Bobby Firmino is that link now. So Trent could give it to Elliott, who could give it to Firmino in the hole, who can then either A, pass it through to the likes of Diaz or Salah as the attacking wingers, or B, find Trent on the wing. And it's forcing them to do two things. In this situation, when there's no Firmino and no Thiago, there's only two places where Liverpool's attack's coming from, and it's the left wing back slot and it's the right wing back slot. So Salah's the captain because Bobby Firmino. And when Thiago's back, Liverpool should be back to 100%, because then you've got centre mid option from Thiago to pinpoint the ball anywhere he wants. You've got Firmino dropping in the hole to offer a pass for Thiago, or a link up between Thiago and the strikers and the wing backs, and that's why we're not seeing the same Liverpool attack, and why we've seen them countered in this kind of situation, because there's no other centre mid here. Elliott's caught out on the wrong side of the man, which has led to that interception, and you end up with a 4-on-3 attack situation. Hey Shani, how you doing, buddy? And I just love, and I mentioned this before, I just love Conte's style here. I just love it. I just adore this. This is like art to me. This is just such. Now, Conte's had a full preseason and he's got players he's had now for a while. This is them against Chelsea. Now, it didn't work against Chelsea, but you can see what they're trying to do, and I just think it's so good. So if Spurs played Liverpool last week, Spurs would have beaten them, because right centre back and right wing back would have marked out Diaz and Robbo, and left centre back and left wing back would have marked out Trent and Salah. And then you've got the two centre mids / central defensive mid, which would be Bentancur and Højbjerg, would give cover to Dyer down the middle. But Dyer would have just had Darwin, and one of them would have had to help. So that's why I think we've seen issues from Liverpool. So going back to this one, you can see just didn't look good. Did not look good. But this week with Firmino back and Manchester United looking so awful, that's why I think Salah's is still the captaincy option. Let me just catch up with the chat. So much value in defenders. Yeah. That's why you see all the top people have all got 5 at the back, and I can't argue with it. I tried to get on Darwin early and it absolutely bit me in the bum. You've brought in Grosh. Yeah, that's fine. Mainly to avoid the Bailey price drop. Not really expecting anything. But for 5.7 million, I think you should be expecting stuff, because you could have a good defender for that price. Brighton create a lot of chances, but you can't score. Same old story. Yeah, so why did you bring in Pascal Grosh then? I brought in a player for a team that can't score. Don't get Kulu, Ross. Go for Diaz instead, and Perisic or Zinchenko. Yeah, I mean, they're not terrible options. You got Sanchez in goal, but Raya a good option. He is, because Brentford's fixtures are fantastic. I'm just saying, a lot of people started with the Sanchez and Ward double up, right? But yeah, Raya would be probably my first choice right now. You'd always downgrade a keeper to strengthen the first team. Yeah, and that's something I personally could do. I could go Edison down and take $1 million out of Edison. If Man United start playing out the back, Firmino will put them under pressure. Yeah, Darwin, I think, would have done the same pressure. And this is the difference as well. Palace, I keep saying, they were the 5th best defense last year. They're well drilled. They're really good. They're a solid defensive unit. You look at the shape that they have. It's so disciplined. Everything. I could have done loads of examples throughout the game here, but I just saw this. It's such a nice backline. It's a solid midfield. Really difficult to break this kind of play down. Manchester United don't have this. If Trent's got the ball here, whoever United play here is not going to close him down to the same high level intensity as Crystal Palace. Because Manchester United just aren't that hard working, as horrible as that sounds. You've captained Maddison. What are the upsides and downside? Bora, we talked about the captaincy earlier. Staying with the pack, in my opinion, is just the better way to go. Salah is 60% owned and is going to be heavily captained. Jesus is 80% owned and is going to be quite heavily captained. If you think Maddison's going to always back who you think is going to get the most points. Now, if you're just trying to be cute and think Maddison might beat them, then that's not a great idea. But if you think, no, Maddison is the man this week, he's going to get the most points, he's going to get more than Salah and Jesus, then go for him. Are you expecting Ward to get the clean sheet? No, I never expect Leicester to get a clean sheet. Trippier, a keeper or trade out? Sorry, wait, I don't know what that means. Tripper? Do you mean transfer? I don't know what that means. Don't know when should you give up on Robbo for James. Krista, Robbo for James. Robbo for James. Robbo for James. Robbo for James. Not yet. Not for a hit. Not for a hit. And people keep saying there's no Kovacic, there's no Kante, so they were a bit worried about the clean sheet potential. But Robbo's still great. I think Robbo's still a great option. Look at this picture. This is Robbo. Granted, when I've been saying there's no player in here to link up the play, but with Firmino back, still a great choice. Hey, Denver, morning, buddy. Keep in mind, Liverpool United had high chance. Yeah, I did speak about the postponement. And it's why I originally had Gabriel Jesus as my captain. But I'm hoping the police are going to be like on the ball and just be like, it's Liverpool, Manchester United. There was a protest last time and there was a lot of trouble. Maybe we should do something about it. Hey, James, how you doing, buddy? Holding Alvarez for incoming rotation. Yeah, Alvarez. The problem is, though, you're never going to know what's the week Alvarez plays. It's not going to be maybe this game week, but when Champions League kicks off, Alvarez could be great. But he's expensive for someone you might play sometimes. And there's just better options. For me, double City defense and Haaland or De Bruyne is your option there. Alvarez is 6.3 million. And he's someone that you're going to be like, do I start him this time? Do I start him this time? Do I start him this time? Too much money to be doing that, in my opinion. Our defenders are going to play both Patterson and Williams this game week in a 5-man defense. Silly move. Okay, well, tell you what, we'll bring up. It's no surprise when I talk about Everton's attack, and I did this on the Gameweek preview video. This is Aston Villa. This is Everton. This is showing you, first you can see it's 3 centre-backs. That's Holgate, that's Cody, and that's Tarkowski. That's Mikelego left wing back, this is Patterson on the right wing back. They've got no attack. So if there's a week where I think there's going to be a 0-0, if there's a game I think there's going to be a 0-0, it's Villa again. It's Everton against Nottingham Forest, because Everton don't have a striker. But the defense isn't that bad. It's not. Cody, Tarkowski, and Holgate is not the worst defense in the league, in my opinion. Nottingham Forest, they kept a clean sheet against West Ham. West Ham, it was, what was the stat? It was something stupid like, it's the highest XG West Ham have had in like 9 years without scoring. It was something ridiculous. In fact, we can have a look at the actual stats here. Expected goals 2.26. So West Ham were expected to score 2.26 goals in this game, and they got 0. So when you're playing Williams, Everton don't have an attack, so they're not as good in attack than West Ham United, but they should have scored. West Ham should have scored. They had a penalty. I mean, Henderson saved a penalty. I wouldn't like playing Williams and Patterson, but Williams is against the strike force of Everton, who don't have a striker, and Williams against Everton. Williams had a really good game against West Ham. He was getting shots off. He was getting crosses off. And Nottingham Forest are just going to get better and better. They've got about 3,000 players to choose from. If I had to play them, I would, because I think it's going to be probably a 0-0 or maybe a 1-1. I just wouldn't be happy about having to play them. I think would be my point about that. Would you go with Riot away or Ward at home? I will never back Leicester for a clean sheet. And with Fofana not playing, with Fofana saying he doesn't want to play, Leicester could still get a clean sheet. But when your sort of key centre-back doesn't fancy it, and you've just been smashed for 4 goals against Arsenal, whereas Brentford's got newly promoted Fulham, it's a tough call, man. It's a tough call. But Leicester have done nothing at all to make me think they'll get a clean sheet. Brentford could. Hey, Rubber Ducky. Jesus' effective ownership should scare the duck out of people into giving him the armband, let alone... Yep. For me, though, Gabriel Jesus is an option. But again, the argument I have is Haaland was limited to like 2 touches all game against Bournemouth at Man City. And if they can do that against Man City and they can do that against Haaland, why can't they do that against Gabriel Jesus? So my options for captaincy this week would be Salah, Jesus, Haaland. If I had a Spurs attacker, it still would be Salah, Jesus, and then a Spurs attacker, then Haaland. Groshy's there just to make up the numbers. Is he the mascot? Yeah, you've had him since game week 1, so you've already lost 0.2 on him, which isn't ideal. What should I play, Williams or Andreas in place of Neto? Again, Species, if you think there's a clean sheet, always go with the defender, because that's 6 points and potential bonus. Andreas had a knock, but he's supposed to be fine. They're at home. Now, again, I reiterate, I watched 90 minutes of all the games. Game week 1 Fulham was sublime. They had such a good game against Liverpool, but I've just spent the time to explain why Liverpool have not been good in the first 2 game weeks. Way under par of what they've been doing. Game week 2 Fulham was nowhere near game week 1 Fulham. They're away from home. They're back at home at Craven Cottage against Brentford. This is the week I think we're going to see, is it game week 1 Fulham, that's the real Fulham, or is it game week 2 Fulham? I would probably play Andreas, because I just don't trust. I said earlier, Everton don't have an attack, but I just don't trust Nottingham Forest's defense. I just don't. Tony plus Rodrigo and Reed, or Henry plus Mount. Denver, if that's a striker you never need to play, then I would probably go for B. Rodrigo wasn't on the list I spoke of earlier about potential replacements of 6 million under, because he's 6.2 now. Rodrigo and Pascal Grosch are community moves. Rodrigo has got Chelsea. Now, Rodrigo's done great. Well done, Rodrigo. You've gone and got a couple of goals against Southampton and Wolves. He's got Chelsea, then Brighton in the next 2. 2 of the strongest defenses in the league. And Bamford's a maybe as well. Just not for me. So I just wouldn't be going for Rodrigo. Have you considered Rodrigo down to someone lower and getting another defender in? Because we talked about the defender value today. De Silva versus Neco. Neco. Sancho to score versus Liverpool? Nope. Nope. I don't expect anything from Manchester United. I don't think Manchester United fans expect anything from Manchester United. All right, we looked at these 2. Chelsea Spurs. I already said I just admire Spurs' setup. I know what they tried to do. Chelsea were just too strong against them. You can see this sort of triangle arrowhead here. Reece James, his average position is going to be a bit skewed because he was right centre back and then he was right wing back. But you can see Cucurella. Look where he is. If I remember rightly, he had the most final third touches of any player on the pitch. And he's on corners. And he's 5 million. I can't sell him any more than that. Spurs did nothing in the first half. And they've robbed a point here. This should have been 2-0 to Chelsea. The referees have got it all wrong. Should have been 2-0 to Chelsea. Spurs did nothing to get it out of the game. They're not going to complain. They've gone to Stamford Bridge, which is a huge, difficult game for them specifically. They don't do well. And they've walked away with a point. So that could be a priceless point deep into the season. Can't blame them. Game was corruption. There's so many things. Richarlison is in the way of Mendy. It's almost touch his foot. If you're stood in an offside position and there's any visual effect to the keeper, it should be offside. The rule is a grey area. You can argue Havertz was tackled through his leg to touch the ball, like he touched his lower shin before. But for me, that's an offside. But the second one, they've seen him pull his hair. So if they said, right, we don't think it's a red card, but you can still say, well, it's a foul. I mean, he's pulled his hair. It's not a red, but we can still give them a free kick. Just silly things like that where they've told the ref. They should have made him go look at the monitor, and then he could have said, right, it's not a red card, but I'm giving a foul. I don't think there's any football fan that watched that Chelsea Spurs game and thought that was a fair result and thought that one of the two goals shouldn't have been disallowed. Spurs fans might think differently. Cucurella stamped on Romero. Then send them both off, but it still shouldn't be a goal. This was Wolves Fulham, so you can see the XG. Wolves, new season, same problem. Can't put the ball in the onion bag. Can't stick it in the back of the net. Jimenez is back. Team selection. Available. I don't think he'll start. I think it's too early. But he's back. That should help them. Should. He's not the same player. Fulham, when I said earlier about Fulham, Game Week 2 wasn't great. This XG, guys, is high because they had a penalty. There was nothing in this game. I watched it. So when I was watching this, I had other things on as well. And because this was not a good game to watch. This you could tell within 20 minutes this is going to be 0-0. Now, Wolves should have scored. Neto was through. He put the ball over the top and he missed it. Wolves just can't stick it in. Wolves have made, I think, 2 new signings, which could be great, but they need a striker. They need a guy to stick in a 6-yard box to say, all right, give me the ball, let me put it in the back of the net. They don't have it. Fulham were just really defensive. Again, they showed that high pressure intensity, but when it came to attacking movements, there just wasn't anything there. This was not a good game. Look at this. Expected goals. It's just high because they had a penalty. Because if you look at expected assists, it's incredibly low. So when you've got expected goals very high and expected assists very low, you know, it's a penalty, and you know they've not done a lot. They weren't expected to get an assist. So when you've got a goal, like, oh, they should have scored 1.5 goals, but their assist is 0.17, that shows that they're not creating anything. They're not making any opportunities. It wasn't good. Wasn't a good game. This one was the opposite. It was a 2-2. It was 2-2. 2-0 down, came back 2-2. These two teams, this is why, again, I'm sticking against Leeds being a team that I'm potentially targeting, because look at the back line. This will be the most spaced out back line you'll see from these two teams. Now, they switched their formation. When they went down, I think they switched to a 4-2-2-2, but I can't be sure. But the average positions of Southampton in this is not going to be right because they changed the formation. They had 3 at the back, and then I think they went to 4 at the back. So you can see sub is yellow, which means Stevens came on, and then that's when you can see more of this sort of back 4 shape. But looking at Leeds, look at this. There's the right back. It's like they're playing 3 at the back without the 3rd centre back. two centre-backs nowhere near each other, deep, and then their full-backs are so far up, and then you've got Adams and Rocker in the middle. If a team plays it's centrally, you can see the formation. It's a 4-2-3-1. I mean, it looks lovely. Like, you can see it nice and clear. It's a 4-2-3-1. But if the team's playing a 4-2-3-1 against them, for example, these guys are screwed in the middle. Leeds, for me, I've said it since game week 1. They lost Phillips, they lost Rafinha, and they started the season with like 7 players out. Just both of these teams are in trouble. This was like a relegation 6-pointer early in the season. So earlier when it's about Sterling captain, if it wasn't such a Salah Jesus heavy game week, which unfortunately I think it's going to be for like every single game week, these are two teams that you want to get goals against. They could score against you, by the way. They will attack. They'll come out and try and get a goal. So if you're worried about a Chelsea defender, I understand, because these guys will attack. But they can't defend. So if you've got an attacker against Southampton or against Leeds, I would be hopeful for a return in that game week. How do week work if Man U and Liverpool game is moved? Do you get the points? Yeah, if you've got them. So Peter, if we change it. If the Liverpool Man United game is abandoned, your players will be subbed. If it gets called off before they start, your subs will come in. But I think if they kick off and the game gets abandoned during the game, I think you'll just get like 1 point for your starters. If the game is abandoned in game week 3 and they don't play it until game week 6 will be a double game week for Liverpool and United players. Is it a bad idea to go with 3 Chelsea defenders? Lyndon, we spoke about this earlier. No. If Farner goes and it's 4.5 million, there's a very good possibility that I would bring him in myself. Because value for money for clean sheets. But I know there's no Kante and I know there's no Kovacic, but if we look at what they've got, Leeds, Leicester, Southampton, West Ham, Fulham, Liverpool in game week 8, not great. Palace, Wolves, Villa, Brentford, United, Brighton, Arsenal. Now, and that's it, then the World Cup. So up until game week 13, when they've got United at home, there's just Liverpool in game week 8. Everyone else they can do well against. There's just great value, in my opinion, there. City Bournemouth. Almost every single player for Bournemouth is in their own half. I tweeted about 6 minutes into the game to say, if you have no Man City attacker or defender, go hide behind the sofa now, because this is going to be a hiding. It should have been more than 4-0. Bournemouth did really well. Haaland was behind De Bruyne, you can see, was just limited. And this is something that, even though it was 4-0, and it was 3-0 before the 40-minute mark, it's just Haaland wasn't there. He was up front, he was waiting for the ball to come through, but just wasn't getting the chances. And that's what worries me about captaining Gabriel Jesus, because if they can do that to Haaland, why can't they do that against Gabriel Jesus? It's a different game. It's a different week. Maybe they don't play the same style. They went to Man City to try and shut up shop and see if they could nick a goal. They weren't even close. There was one chance. They took a shot and Edison held on to the ball. And that was it in the whole game. In terms of defence, it was all right. But maybe they don't see Arsenal like Man City. Maybe because they're at home and they think, no, we could do this against Arsenal. That's when Gabriel Jesus is free to be himself. But if they play like they did against Man City and they go up and think, no, we'll shut up shop, try and nick a point, it's not good for Gabriel Jesus. Can see Leeds and Leicester scoring goals against Chelsea, both very tough. Yeah, they could. They could. But if Cucurella's left wing back and James is right wing back, I can try and get attacking returns. Brighton Newcastle. This is a 0-0. This should have been a Brighton win. You can see compact. So not on the touchline for the wingers. Trippier in his own half. So usually when you see wing backs, they're not as high up. So if got rid of the tab, but my point I wanted to make, so when we looked at Leeds, their right wing back was all the way up here. Newcastle went to be defensive. Trippier is in his own half. Dan Burn is in his own half. You can see it's compact with 2 up front. Almiron was deep. He was on more defensive duty last week, which isn't great. Brighton, spread out, really attacking. March, Trossard on the wing, and up front here you got Welbeck, who's done really, really well, and Grosh. So they are attacking, but let's not forget to play Man United in a defensive Newcastle team. They didn't score against Newcastle. They should have, but they didn't. Just don't. Defensively, Brighton, great. Aces. Attacking wise, nah, not for me. No way. I'll look at this in a second, and we'll have a chat about Saka. I've done before. We'll have a chat about him in a second. Let me catch up with the chat. 13 plus 7.5 plus 6.9 being subbed off for 4.5. Nice. Can see Leeds and oh yeah, I already did that. Would you sell Perisic for Cucurella? Yes, I would. Do you rate Kulusevski? Yes, but I'm worried about Richarlison. Best striker to bring in other than Jesus on a 9.5 million budget. We spoke about the value earlier. I would be going probably to Tony. If I didn't fancy a striker, I would go all the way down to 4.5 million, and I would improve my defender to play 5 at the back, or I would spend it on a midfielder. Love the avatars. Yeah. And just a reminder, guys, if you do random, !random, it'll change. I don't know how to select the hair and stuff, but there's loads of hats and hairs and all sorts. Random will change the hat that they're wearing. And if you want to wear your team's colors, it's !color, spelled the American way, and type the name of the team. So let's go for Liverpool, because Mo Salah is my captain. Color, Liverpool, and then I'll wear a Liverpool shirt. So, Saka. Now, the analysis I did on the preview video and the one that I posted on Twitter as well, where I clipped it out. Hey, thanks for the stuff. Only for a chat, but I appreciate it. Enjoying the breakfast stream. On a wild card, gone 4-3-3. Williams and Rodrigo as ex-players on the bench, or Cucurella. Cucurella and Pereira. For me, Cucurella and Pereira. And again, I mentioned this earlier. I don't like it when I see like content creators and I see people say, oh yeah, this play is really good and this formation is really good. And then you say, oh, do you have them? And they say, no, I don't trust it. Like, I have got a 4-3-3 and I've got Cucurella and Pereira. You mean Andreas Pereira, right? The Fulham midfielder. I've got those 2 players. So I can't sit here and say I don't advise them, because that's exactly who I have. If you're on a wild card, though, we spoke earlier. Rodrigo, no. 2 tough fixtures coming up. I think he's done well. Cucurella, we spoke about him earlier. He can play left centre back. He can play left wing back. And again, I know what's going to happen, guys. This game week, Grosh and Rodrigo are going to score like 3 goals between them, and I'm going to sat here next week like, sorry guys, but it's the way it is. Kane to Haaland, good. Vivek, that's a move that this week I'm going to say no. No, I'm not. He's at home. And Haaland, the thing is, Newcastle are good now. They're solid. They put up good numbers. They don't get smashed. But they do get smashed by Man City. Maybe it's just Pep. Maybe it's just Man City. Maybe it was not quite when Eddie Howe had his grip on the Newcastle team. But it's not a good history, I believe, between Man City and Newcastle. In fact, last season, City beat Newcastle 5-0 in May. And in December, at Newcastle, Man City beat Newcastle 4-0. So last season, on aggregate, it's 9-0 to Manchester City. I can't recommend selling Kane at home to Wolves with Haaland away at Newcastle, but Man City just might be the team that can smash Newcastle. So every week Newcastle do really well, but Man City's the team that they get smashed by. similar to, in my opinion, Burnley. So Burnley were never a team that got smashed. You'd beat them 1-0, you'd beat them 2-0, wouldn't be very tight, it'd be very defensive, but they wouldn't get smashed, except by Manchester City. Wolves plus 500 to get relegated. They have a small squad, lonely play. But they've just signed 2 players, I think, Anthony, right? But again, I think they're probably Portuguese, and I don't know enough about them. Right, last bit of analysis before we look at the team fixtures. Saka, short one, because I did this on a team preview video if you want to check out the more in-depth analysis, but the very simple fact is Saka is playing just a tiny bit deeper, and that is because I think of this guy, Ben White. He's not a normal right back. He's not a right wing back. Zinchenko, you can see, is all the way up here as a left wing back because that's kind of his natural position. He can do that very well. Ben White is a centre back playing right back. So Saka, I think, sometimes is being asked to go and give him a hand on the side because he's not a natural right back. If we get the likes of Tomiyasu back at right back, I don't know who's going to play centre back. Is it going to be Gabriel, Saliba, or White? Too close to call. But if Tomiyasu is back at right back, Saka, I think, will be given the freedom to off your pop, go be free, come up here, join Martinelli and Jesus, go on the attack. Also, it depends on the team. So he would have to track back a lot against Leicester, which this is the map for, because Leicester are really good in attack. If they're against a team, like Bournemouth, who aren't as good on the attack, who Arsenal are expected to dominate, Saka should be in a more attacking position. Surely Kulusevski starts over Richarlison. Yes, but does he get 60 minutes? Does he play 90 minutes? Kulusevski is a great choice. I'm not against him at all. I've just got Saka. Kane Haaland a good transfer and a wild card? Yes. Because long term, I would go for Haaland. But again, keep remembering, I spoke about this earlier. When Europe comes along, Haaland apparently was gone to Man City because they promised they'd take care of his body. He has had injuries before. They said that they won't run him into the ground like he would be if he joined Real Madrid. So don't be surprised when the Champions League starts, he doesn't play in the Premier League, or he plays 1 every 2 games. Harry Kane will play almost, I think, every minute for Spurs. But that's where Richarlison's in. Maybe Kane will start to get rests this year. But I wouldn't do anything about that until I see it. So I wouldn't say get rid of Haaland or Kane until we see that rotation, because otherwise it's guesswork. Agree with what saying FPL managers suggesting taking a punt on Vardy but never doing themselves. I don't trust them. Yeah, Roger, it's the same thing. When I did the segment earlier about looking at 6 million and under players, I'd say first go for defenders and then second we'll go for Almiron. I've got Almiron. It does wind me up. I'll see a podcast or I'll see a Twitter thread from a big company or from like official Premier League, and they'll be like, I think, or captaincy's another one, right? They'll say, I think Gabriel Jesus is the best captain. And it's like, who's your captain? Salah. Why did you say Gabriel Jesus then? Or a left wing pick, Reece James is in great form. Leeds won't have Bamford. They'll be great. He's a good captaincy shout. Is he your captain? No. Then why are you telling people that? Or at least give it with reasoning. I'm going to go for Salah because it's a bit safe. But as my outside pick, I think Reece James will be a good. You know what I mean? I don't like it. It feels a little bit deceptive. All right, let's look at the fixtures. Let's have a look at some predictions. Yep, very true. It is though, isn't it? It's one of the things, I know I've had postponements of not doing streams or content because my little girl was born and I'm the one who has to take care of her at night, and that's why streams now on a Saturday morning. But I don't play the game. I don't really ask for likes and subscribes and push it and make sponsorship deals and stuff. I was asked by a scout to do streams and videos, and I love doing that. And having that opportunity to go on their streams and stuff, because I love the game of FPL. I just don't do the sponsorship self-promoting side of it. I don't like it. It never feels, a lot of the time, never feels authentic. And I don't just come up with a plan So for example, here's another example. The fact that I did a bench boost in game week 1 and a wildcard in game week 2, I could have said I was doing it and just not done it and be like, oh yeah, I've changed my mind. Oh, I changed my mind. I spin it. No. Like I did it. And it just feels sometimes people will do videos or do content and just be, or do a thumbnail with like, I don't know, Edison wearing the captain's armband and be like, oh my god, I picked this guy, or ranking. I'm ranking these players, and it's like the best and the worst at the bottom right, and they put like Salah on the thumbnail in the worst section because they know people will click on it and be like, you're gonna say Salah's the, and then in the video they don't say it. I can't do it. It's just not me. Just never going to be that way. Anyway, rant over. Let's look at the fixture. Spurs, Wolves. Well, we spoke earlier. Wolves can't score. I admire the Spurs setup, but I don't think it's a spanking. I think it's just 2-0. And I think Son or Kane, both of them, I think will return in this game. But I don't think it's going to be high enough to take you away from a potential higher score than Gabriel Jesus and Mohamed Salah. So I'm going to go 2-0 Spurs. Palace, Villa. Palace struggles to score goals. Villa, I pointed out in my analysis on the preview that Mings drops deeper. The new signing centre-back is out for like 6+ months. They're not doing great with goals. I know they scored a couple against Everton, but it wasn't amazing. I'm going to go 1-0 Palace here. Yeah. Low scoring. Palace have got a great defense. Villa and Gerrard haven't been that good. Yeah. Fulham, Brentford. This if game week 1 Fulham comes out, it's 2-1 Fulham. If game week 2 Fulham comes out to play, I think it's 2-0 Brentford. So it depends which Fulham decides to show up. Either way, I think Fulham concede a goal because I still think their defense is not good. Like, Tim Ream is not a Premier League defender. And I'm a Bolton Wanderers fan. I've seen a lot of Tim Ream in my history. He's not a Premier League defender. And Brentford, with the likes of Tony and Mbeumo as their attack, Brentford's going to score, in my opinion. But if it depends which Fulham comes out. If we get a game week 1 Fulham, game on. Could be 2-1 Fulham, could be 2-2, could be a good game. If we're getting game week 2 Fulham, I think Brentford's going to win. Southampton are going to concede at least 2 here. Leicester, it depends what Leicester. I think it's going to be 3-1 Leicester on this one. Leicester are going to concede. I don't see a clean sheet there. And Southampton, I think, are definitely going to concede. So I'm going to go say 3-1 Leicester. Bournemouth, Arsenal, I think it's going to be 3-0 Arsenal. If Bournemouth treat Arsenal like they did Man City, I think it'll be 2-0 Arsenal. If Bournemouth tried to play against Arsenal, I think it's going to be 3 or 4-0 for Arsenal. I do see a clean sheet, but don't be surprised if there's a ball into the box or a set piece and one of the big lads at Bournemouth heads it in. So I'm going to change this to 3. Do I think 3 goals are going to happen? Yeah, 3-1. 3-1 Arsenal. Leeds, Chelsea. I'm going to go 1-0 Chelsea because I still don't think that Chelsea will score, but I don't think Chelsea's attack is still ticking quite well or gelling quite well together. 1-0. Is 1-0 enough? Okay, 2-0 Chelsea. I'm hoping for a clean sheet. I've got double Chelsea defense. So I'm going to say 2-0 Chelsea. West Ham, Brighton. Brighton seem to upset West Ham a lot. I'm going to say 1-1 for this. I think it's a tight game. West Ham need to, get themselves sorted out. Brighton, great start to the season. Still defensively solid, but not great at scoring goals. 1-1. It's probably going to be Pascal Gross that scores a goal. Newcastle City. I said earlier, last season was 9-0 in the 2 games to Man City. I think Newcastle are an improved side, but Man City is Man City. 2-0 to Manchester City. But I would potentially see a goal for Newcastle if Trippier sticks it into Callum Wilson. But I'm going to say 2-0. Manchester United, Liverpool. If the game goes ahead, if it doesn't get stopped, can we see anything but a Liverpool win here? Can we? 2-0 Liverpool, 3-0 Liverpool, 4-0 Liverpool, 5-1 Liverpool. 6-0 Liverpool. Just a Liverpool win. With Firmino back, we did the whole piece on it earlier that I spoke about. Firmino back in, but the lack of Thiago and potentially like Phillips having to play, and maybe not even Van Dijk, because I heard there's a rumor that he'd picked up something. I'm gonna say 3-1 to Liverpool. Man United might get a goal, but I'm still thinking it's a Liverpool win. If Ward concedes, it's the end of the Ward Iverson experiment. But he's 4 million. You're getting a definite playing goalkeeper for 8 million, 4 million, 4 million, right? It's value. You can't argue against it. But for 0.5 more, you're getting even more value from Sanchez or Raya. Hey, Thomas. Still tinkering with your wild card. Do you go with Ramsdale, Perisic, and Haaland, or Edison, Zinchenko, Kane? Edison, Zinchenko, and Kane. For me. Or not Zinchenko, maybe Saliba and Haaland. Like Edison, Walker, and Kane. How about that? That would be a good one. So this is still my team. It is still on Salah. I don't think that's going to change. Yeah. I can't not pick Salah because I'm scared it's going to get cancelled. And whoever you go for, I said it earlier, Salah is a great pick. Gabriel Jesus is a great pick. And whichever one you don't pick is going to work against you. That's effective ownership. There's nothing you can do about it. If you went Ward Iverson, you did it for the money, not for the clean sheets. Yep. Or just a little potential clean sheet, right? All right, so that's going to be it, guys. Next week, the stream again around this time, starting about 8 or 8:30 in the morning. Keep your eyes out for a team selection video and maybe a game week preview video. I am back to work in just over a week, so we might just be sticking to like one team selection video and one stream on a Saturday morning. So hopefully I'll see you guys in the videos and I'll see you on the stream next week. Good luck to everyone. Hopefully I'm not going to be stuck around the 4 million rank this time next week. It's not ideal. I would just like for my strikers to not miss penalties and get sent off. I think that's it. So thanks a lot, guys, and hopefully see you on the videos and stream next week. Good luck. Take care, guys. Have a good one.